Community Foundation, at the Community Foundation and alongside our partners at the Valley Community Foundation, we see our relationship with you as a true partnership. We're deeply aware that philanthropy alone cannot create the change we seek, just as nonprofit organizations cannot do the work without aligned, responsive funding partners. We need one another, and together we're working to strengthen civic health, advance equity, and ensure that the most vulnerable among us are not left behind. Today's webinar is designed to be both practical and supportive. We'll walk through the 2026 grant processes and timelines. We'll explain the different application types, including multi-year, small grant sponsorships, the Valley Community Foundation opportunities, and more that these experts will bring you through. We'll share upcoming capacity building and technical assistance opportunities to support your grant seeking efforts. So my hope is that you leave today with clarity, with confidence, and with a stronger sense of connection to us as your partner in this work. Thank you again for all that you do and for taking time to join us. Really look forward to learning with you and continuing this work together. So turn it over and leave you in the capable hands of this amazing team from the Valley Community Foundation and the Community Foundation of Greater New Haven. And Jackie, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. And thanks for that greeting. You set the stage perfectly for what we're about to do this morning. So appreciate that. Thank you. So I'm going to put this slide up for those who are having trouble as I do my introductions. Good morning. I'm Jackie Downing. I'm the Senior Director of Grant Making and Nonprofit Support at the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven. We're welcoming you to the Grantseeker Information Webinar. I'll be presenting the webinar along with my colleagues, Sandy Arbor from the Valley Community Foundation, Grants and Nonprofit Support Manager, Logan Roddy, the Grants Manager, Stephanie Chung, Nonprofit Support and Grants Manager, and Louis Rodriguez, Grant Making Associate, all for the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven. The goals of this webinar are to familiarize you with the grant opportunities at the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven and the Valley Community Foundation for 2026 to help you see if and where your organization and your programs fit into our grant opportunities. Just a few housekeeping things. This webinar is scheduled to end at 11:30 and we will make every effort to end promptly. In the webinar format, you are muted. You are able to type in questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. Please do not use the chat box for the questions. It'll be hard for us to monitor those questions, so please try to type them into the Q&A box. And we'll make every attempt to answer every question during the webinar. If for some reason we don't get to all of that, we will send answers out to everyone by email so everyone has the answers in writing. We'll be stopping periodically throughout the presentation to answer the questions that come into the chat. If you're having trouble viewing, you can always phone in instead. Here are the numbers. This webinar will be recorded, and it's going to be posted on both foundations' websites probably early next week, and you'll be able to access it if you have further questions. It'll be there for at least 6 months. We will send out the slides will also be posted, and all of the hyperlinks on the slides will be available to you where it's posted. So a little background on the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven and the Valley Community Foundation. Our foundation, the Greater New Haven Community Foundation, was established in 1928, and it's one of the largest and oldest community foundations in the United States. And it remains the largest grant maker to nonprofits in this 20-town region in the heart of central Connecticut. This region includes the 5 towns served by our partner in philanthropy, the Valley Community Foundation, known as VCF, which was established in 2004. VCF fulfills the mission of the Community Foundation in the Valley's unique 5 cities and towns: Ansonia, Derby, Oxford, Seymour, and Shelton. The 2 foundations work collaboratively to address the needs and seize opportunities for their service areas. The Community Foundation for Greater New Haven works with donors to achieve their charitable goals and with nonprofits to build a stronger community, convenes the community around important issues. It's the largest grant maker serving nonprofits in Greater New Haven, making over $30 million in grants and distributions each year, including distributions made from organization funds. Manages an endowment made up of more than 1,200 individually named funds valued over $710 million. And the foundation also provides technical assistance to nonprofit staff and board members and volunteers looking to create a stronger impact in the community. Throughout this presentation, you'll hear us refer to the 20-town region. You are looking at that 20-town region right now. So if your organization is based in this 20-town region, there are going to be certain things relevant to you. If it's based outside this 20-town region, there will be other things that are relevant to you. I'm going to pass it on over to Logan.
Thank you, Jackie. Good morning, everybody. So in order to apply for a grant of the Community Foundation, you must be a tax-exempt organization under Section 501c3 or any applicable section of the Internal Revenue Code, or have a fiscal sponsor. So Jackie had the map on the last slide, but so applicants must provide a significant level of services in at least one town of our 20-town region or one of the 5 Valley towns for a Valley Community Foundation request. But you can be located outside of our 20-town region depending on the process. So I'll just quickly go over the 20 towns. I'll do it slowly so you don't miss. So Ansonia, Bethany, Brantford, Cheshire, Derby, East Haven, Guilford, Hamden, Madison, Milford, New Haven, North Brantford, North Haven, Orange, Oxford, Seymour, Shelton, Wallingford, West Haven, Woodbridge. So if you're an organization and you do not serve any of those 20 towns, you might not be in the right place. So you must have significant presence in one of those 20 towns. Applicants must comply with all applicable local, state, and federal anti-discrimination laws and advance equity in its practices in terms of staffing, board representation, and programming. Applicants who are previous recipients of a grant within the past 4 years must have submitted all required reports. And later on in the slide, we'll talk about if you want to check if you're eligible or in compliance with that. Eligibility of organizations and projects vary by grant process, so we'll talk about that in the next slide. So you please double check the general eligibility criteria for the process you're interested in. So we can keep going. Yeah, so as I said, unless otherwise noted by a specific grant program, these are projects that do not receive consideration. Quite a few bullets here, but I'll try to go over it concisely but briefly. Activities that include the practice of promulgation of any faith or ideology, endowment campaigns, previously incurred expenses, funding deficits, sports leagues that do not provide academic and or social supports, organizations that have a fiscal sponsor and do not have a local advisory board or board of directors, LLCs with a nonprofit fiscal sponsor, nonprofits closely affiliated with a for-profit business that offers similar programs and or shared leadership, PTSOs, PTOs, PTAs, school-sponsored or extra or core curricular programs, sports booster clubs or PK to 12 academic programs, programs of, fiscally sponsored by, or closely affiliated with college and universities, activities of municipal departments, authorities, including boards of education. So generally, these are the requests that we do not consider, but again, it's all process dependent, so there could be a few cases where there's exceptions here. And I think I'm going to pass it back to Jackie.
Yes, thanks, Logan. So if Logan mentioned that we do not fund LLCs with a nonprofit fiscal sponsor. If you are a for-profit business, you're in the wrong webinar, but we can still help you. So we have the NHE3, the New Haven Equitable Entrepreneurial Ecosystem, the E3 Small Business Grant Program for for-profit businesses only. So if you're nonprofit, you're in the right place. If you're a for-profit, take a look, go to the link that's here, e3connector.com, and you can get information about grants and support that's available to you as a small business, as a for-profit. And you can also reach out to Kim Mendez on our staff. If you take a look at our directory, Kim Mendez will be the contact person as the first person in the door to direct you to the right place. So I'm going to list now the high level of these grants. We'll go into detail with them as we go further. There are lots of changes, so I'm going to ask you to please listen very carefully. These opportunities that are on the screen now are available to any organization based in the 20-town region. They are open to everyone in the Greater New Haven and Valley area. We have nonprofit animal shelter grants specifically for nonprofit animal shelters. The consultant support program, not a grant program, but we can help you bring a consultant in to help your organization. The community fund for women and girls. Details will be available on this program later in the year, so do watch out for that, but it is for pathways for women and girls. The nonprofit management program for emerging leaders of color. This is a 2-year program. It is not launching a cohort this year. It will launch a cohort next year. We're in cohort 4 right now, and the program is ongoing. We'll also have basic needs fund grants available later in the year. Again, details on this program will be announced later in the year. These are available to Valley and New Haven area organizations. Also available to Valley and New Haven organizations are our multi-year grants. You may have heard of them for past grantees. These were our responsive grants in the past. They are now being called multi-year. We have 2 different types of multi-year grants. And the main distinguishing factor in these is you are either headquartered based in our 20-town region or you are not. If you are in our 20-town region, you can come in for a core support grant, which is general operating support. And if you are not based in the 20-town region, you must come in for a regional civic health program grant. And there are limitations on what your organization can do. We'll go into more detail on these as we go through the slides. The application deadline for both of these is March 2nd at 5 p.m. So the multi-year grant making, what's different about it this year? Multi-year grants will range from $10,000 to $40,000 per year for 1, 2, or 3 years. The level of funding awarded will be based on the actual expenses and revenue from the most recently completed fiscal year, the organization's evaluation methods, and the impact of programming, financial viability, and board leadership. Organizations can apply either for a small grant or a multi-year grant, not both. Valley organizations can apply for needs and opportunities and multi-year. Applicants don't have to specify the request amount. We will make the decision between $10,000 and $40,000. And the new thing this year, no give grader profile is required for these, although it will help our reviewers if they're looking for more information about your organization. So I would not stop keeping your give grader profile up. Our donors look there all the time, but it is not a requirement of the grant application this year. So there are 2 types of multi-year grants. Logan is going to go into specific detail about them, but let me give you some high view to show where our priorities are. Core support grants are general operating support available to organizations based and serving within the 20-town region of the foundations. Funding will be prioritized to meet the needs of timely issues, including mental health and health equity, supporting, protecting, and serving immigrant communities, climate change, community organizing, women's reproductive rights, legal services, and economic mobility, as well as to continue to support work in the arts, youth development, elderly, animal care, the environment, education, social justice, basic needs, and economic success. So flexible funding, broad purposes. The Regional Civic Health Program grants will fund organizations based and headquartered outside the 20-town region, but still serving within the 20-town region. Funding is limited to support work in community organizing, social justice, civic engagement, voter rights, and local news media. I'm going to pass this over to Logan.
Thank you, Jackie. Oh, there you go. That's my screen. I was purple rain for a second for some reason, but I think I'm back now. So yeah, so as Jackie said, this is kind of a rebrand from Responsive. For this part, it's pretty similar to what the responsive grant process in terms of the the organizations that are in our region, but I'll go over it again. So core support is only for organizations headquartered in the 20-town region of the foundations and serving residents of the region. This is intended to be flexible sources of support, so do not need to identify a particular use will be applied to, but it could be used for ongoing or new programs and services, as well as administration and infrastructure. The one other big change with this is that applicants must have an operating budget of $250,000 or more. And then if you are already a responsive grantee, so organization cannot apply if it has a current grant that exists beyond 2026. So that's important to know. This is our most competitive process. So, we hope that when you're filling this out, you can identify other partners and commitments, identify partnerships with other organizations where it makes sense to accomplish what will address the need you're meeting in the community. We also want you to have a long-term funding strategy. How will you sustain your programs when this funding ends? Another thing that's important to point out that this is a jointly administrated process by the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven and the Valley Community Foundation. So there's no separate VCF version of this. So if you are a Valley organization, you'll just apply for this, and it's one door in. So it's a TCF VCF kind of collaboration. And then you can go on to regional civic health. Yeah, so this is probably the biggest change. So these are for new or existing specific segments of an organization's work in advocacy, civic engagement, community organizing, and or journalism that services one or more towns in the Community Foundation's region. So Jackie kind of went over kind of specifically what we're looking for. So applicants must be based outside the Foundation's 20-town region. More than 50% of the population served by the organization must live in Greater New Haven and or the Valley. And then I believe that the previous slide was 3 years, but this is for the applicants must have active program for at least 2 years. So that's a major difference between the two. Same thing with the budget. You must have a current operating budget of $250,000 or more. So this is not your choice. So if you fall under these parameters and you're seeking funding for the specific thing we're looking for, you will fall in this process. So you cannot apply for general operating. You would fall under this process. And I think we're gonna take a quick break and ask for questions.
Yes, we are. And
Okay.
I'm here. The first question is from Wallingford Adult Education, asking if they're not eligible because they're not a 501c3. If you are part of the Board of Education, then no, you are not eligible. And that answers Tracy's question as well. If you're part of the school system, you're not allowed to apply. That is correct. If you're part of a school system, a Board of Education, a municipal department, you are not allowed to apply. This meeting is only for nonprofits. Yep, this meeting is only for nonprofits. Or if you have a fiscal sponsor. Now, that doesn't mean a school program with a fiscal sponsor. That means someone who's just emerging as an organization, that's new as an organization. There are opportunities, not necessarily the multi-year opportunity, but there may be opportunities for there definitely are opportunities for smaller nonprofits in other programs. So stay on the line, but it's only for nonprofits. The for-profit is the NHE3 connector. Talk about colleges and universities. If you're a program if it's a co-curricular, if it's a community program based with students, with support from the university, with a faculty advisor, with any kind of support from the university or based at the university, if the finances run through the university, then you're not eligible to apply. We serve many clients in the 20-town region, but are statewide with the headquarters in Hartford. Then you would only be eligible to apply for the regional civic. If you're headquartered in Hartford, you are only eligible for the regional civic health program grant, and at least 15% of your population must live in our region if you're going to apply to the Community Foundation for support. You also have to be in the civic engagement, journalism, social advocacy, and community organizing in those areas. Other organizations who don't fall into those categories are not eligible to apply. We're based in Manchester, significant awards. Yes, yes, you're right, man. Whoever's writing in Preston from Manchester, if your work falls into those categories and you're based in Manchester, you can apply. If not, there's no opportunity in the multi-year grants for you. Is there operational support less than 250 just through our small grant program? And we'll be talking about those as we go forward. My organization replied for a responsive grant was awarded funds in year 1 and 2. Can we apply? Yes. If you don't have a grant going on, if your grant ends in July of this year, then you can apply for multi-year or small grant. Does that include private schools? If it's a private nonprofit school, you are eligible to apply. Can you repeat the specific topics that are most eligible for core support grants? Jackie gave a listing. It's basically all of the work that anyone can do. It starts with health equity and immigrant populations, but we also have preference funds that our donors have left us in the arts and in animals. So we are going to spend all of the funds that we have in all of the areas that our donors have asked us to steward over the years. So there are priorities in things like economic mobility, priority in things like health equity for unrestricted dollars, but there is funding available for just about everything that happens within our community. Yes, we'll be talking about sponsorships. I'm not going to get into the details of why. That's going to take too much time today, but if you'd like to contact me later, we can talk about that. Logan, why don't you take this one? Mention cannot apply if a grant extends beyond 2026. Do you mean a grant from your foundation or any?
From our foundation. Meaning, if you have a grant that extends past 2026 from our foundation, then you're not eligible to apply. We don't.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if it's from another organization.
Our organization relies heavily on volunteerism reflected in our budget as in-service, in-kind revenue. Without it, our budget would not hit the $250,000 threshold. Does this count? No, it does not. In-kind service from volunteers is how many organizations operate, and it does not. It's a cash $250,000 threshold. What is meant by being in operation for 2 years? Having brick and mortar? Well, no, there are lots of organizations that don't have brick and mortar. It's active programming. It's having launched programming so that we could come back and ask for data on who you served 2 years ago. So you would have to have a history of who you served 2 years ago. We're on this one. Opportunity is based in Clinton. We received U.S. grants. Are we not eligible now? That's correct. You are not eligible now. We have changed the guidelines. If your work is focused on economic mobility and 15% more of your population is served in the region, but you're not based in the region, you're no longer eligible for grants. Let's talk specifically offline about that. Write in and let's find out what your organization is doing. Listed priorities. I think we talked about the priorities. For this link that Stephanie shared, it looks like we need a login for Microsoft. Is there another way to share that? What link was it that Stephanie? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I don't see.
It was the link, Jackie, for the NHE3 grants. So if you're looking for more information on NHE3, the slide deck also included a link. This presentation will be shared. If you're looking for the information, today, you could go on to the website, cfgnh.org. And what you're going to do is you're going to hover over, strengthening nonprofits, apply for a grant. When that page loads, you'll scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see the link to the NHE3 small business grant page with additional information. My apologies if that link was not unable, you weren't able to open the link.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. And folks, I'm seeing that there are a lot of questions in the chat. I'm going to remind you, please put the questions in question and answer. That's going to be so much easier for us to be able to manage the traffic on that. I am going to, at this point, get back to the presentation. We will get back to your questions. We will get back to your questions, but we're going to go back to the presentation so that we can continue on and some of your questions may be answered as we move forward. So Logan, I'm going to have you go back.
Thank you. And really quick, if one of my colleagues, because I'm having, because we should maybe be marking the answers as answered, I'm having a hard time doing that for some reason, like when I try to click on it. So if one of my colleagues can maybe step in, I don't know where we left off, but if
I'm
one of
going
my
to go back
colleagues
and
can
do
maybe,
that.
okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah. So we left off on talking about the multi-year course support and the regional program support. So that application is live now. So it's on the Valley Community Foundation and CFGNH websites. The application is due on March 2nd at 5 p.m. And then in between that March to July period, that's when we'll be doing the review of all the applications. We'll be scheduling site visits. We'll be in touch about any updates. You'll be assigned reviewers. We'll be given the whole kind of timeline. And then at the July 16th board meeting, funding decisions made by the board will be made by the board that will review the applications. And then shortly after July 16th, you'll be notified of a funding decision. So that is the timeline for the course support, the multi-year process. And then I'm going to pass it over to Lewis about animal shelter grants.
Good morning, everyone. So in addition to the multi-year grants, there are other grants that the Community Foundation and the Valley Foundation make in partnership. One of those that I'm going to review is the nonprofit animal shelter grants. You can find this information in all application links by going to the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven's website, clicking Strengthening Nonprofits, and then apply for a grant. Or from the Valley Community Foundation, impacting the Valley, and then apply for a grant. So any independent nonprofit animal shelter that gives sheltering to animals in our 20-town region can apply at any time. It's a rolling basis, so there's no application deadline. And can expect an answer within 8 to 10 weeks. Nonprofit animal shelters are encouraged to either apply for a multi-year grant or a animal shelter grant. Organizations cannot apply for both. And animal shelter grants provide funding for new or existing projects or capacity building assistance to strengthen the infrastructure of an organization for long-term success. And grants are up to $10,000. So please reach out to me for any inquiries regarding nonprofit animal shelter grants. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Thank you, Louis. The Nonprofit Management Cohort for Emerging Leaders of Color is a 2-year program. The new cohort will launch in 2027. We're currently in the second year of our most recent cohort. So there is no new grant making for this program this calendar year. So the nonprofit management cohort for emerging leaders of color will not be available in 2026. Please get your candidates ready to apply next year in 2027. And we're going to move on to the next slide. The Consultant Support Program. So the Consultant Support Program provides support to nonprofit organizations serving Greater New Haven and or the Valley. Projects must focus on board development and training, human resources, fund development or planning, which can include strategic planning or strategic alliances. I really want to highlight this because previously the consultant support program was broader and it included other activities that you could apply for. But this year it really is focused on that board development, human resources, strategic planning, and such. Projects can be fully funded up to $2,000 or used to supplement other funds as part of a larger project with a total budget not to exceed $5,000. It's funding for discrete projects. Funding should not be used as part of a larger engagement with the consultant. So, for example, we will not cover the first $1,000 towards a $10,000 strategic plan. Only the consultant time and their expenses will be covered through this program. Organizations will be responsible for any other related costs like staffing or hospitality. You can choose from a vetted list of consultants or engage your own consultant. Organizations may only receive funding from this program one time in 2006. Awards will not impact eligibility for any other grant program. If you're applying to the consultant support program, you can also apply for a sponsorship or a small grant. So this is separate from the other grant making that is available to you. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Jackie.
I think we're stopping here, Logan, for questions. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I think we ended up on sorry,
Dan
it's like
Kamage.
okay. So that's the last person we read. Okay. So can in-kind contributions count towards the 250,000 per year budget cutoff? The answer is no. I don't know if Jackie, you want to provide more information
Yeah,
on that.
I think we can be very specific that volunteer time, services of a volunteer does not count as an in-kind to enhance your budget. What we will allow is our goods. So if you are a food insecurity organization and people donate food to you, the value of that food can be counted as an in-kind part of your budget. But volunteer time, whether it's your board, whether it's professional services, if an attorney does a pro bono service for you, if you have volunteers that move your goods, we will not count that as part of your budget. And I think that answers several of the questions.
Yes. So this is Iris. So we have a center at New Haven, and we do a lot of program of civic engagement. We serve around 1,000 clients. To apply, it has to be headquartered. The center has to be in the headquarters. I don't know which process you're talking about, but I think for many of them, you do have to be based in our 20-town region.
Yeah, Iris, why don't you write into us after and we can go into the specifics. I don't want to spend the time here with specifics on that.
Yeah, it could be a specific case. Okay, so Meredith, would you be able to place the link for the profit organization grant in the chat group or show the slide again? I think I know you contact Kim Mendez, and I think it might be one of the answered sections. I think Stephanie provided a link to somebody for that. But
yeah, it is in the chat already.
Yes. Okay, James. Our nonprofit has a budget of 75. I'm sorry. It like anytime there's a new question, it moves around. So you have to bear with me here. Where's James? Okay. Our nonprofit has a budget of 70,000 per year. So we would not be eligible for multi-year grants. We still apply for a one-time grant. Yeah, so you're not eligible for multi-year grants because you have to have a budget of 250,000. But you can apply for a small grant, which we're going to talk about momentarily.
We're going to be talking about sponsorships, so we don't have to. If you have questions after this webinar about sponsorships, Stephanie is the right person to talk to.
Okay. And then I'm on the Valley Indy. So can an org based in the 20-town region specializing in civic health journalism still apply for the multi-year grant program? No. So if you are mostly, you then would fit with the multi-year core support general operating. However, just because your mission aligns more with the program doesn't mean you can't apply if your criteria fits more in the multi-year general operating. You would just state that that's your mission, that's the kind of programming you do. But based on how many people you serve and where you're based on, you would be multi-year general operating support.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yes, absolutely. Valley Indy, you would be the core support because you were based in the 20 towns.
Are there any grant available for students of a nonprofit? I think, again, it jumped around on me. Are there any current grant available for students of a nonprofit school who have food insecurities?
You may hear yourself in the small grant process. We need a little more specific information than that to understand really what you're talking about, but there may be an opportunity through the small grant, not through the multi-year we've already talked about.
At the beginning of the presentation, you noted nonprofits with an affiliation involving a for-profit organization that has shared leadership are not eligible. Can you further clarify that? Board leadership, staff, only when the nonprofit and for-profit overlapping services, seeking more clarity here.
So I can give you some very specifics about this one. So we're talking about perhaps a for-profit dance school that would like to be able to support their students with scholarships. So they start a nonprofit, they raise lots of money. The head of the dance school is also the president of the board of the nonprofit, and the teachers are the board members. And when they raise this nonprofit money, it all gets paid to the for-profit to cover the tuition for certain students. That's supporting the for-profit business. It's not supporting a nonprofit mission. If they wanted to be a charitable intent about dancers, they would say, this is such an extraordinary dancer. We would like to give her a scholarship or him a scholarship to study anywhere they would like to go. That would be a charitable mission. Otherwise, it's supporting the for-profit. So if you're a mental health service, you're a mental health practitioner, you're providing therapy services for folks, you decide to start a nonprofit so that people can come to you who can't afford you, that would not be eligible for funding.
Okay. Is there a written list of the funding priorities for the multi-year core support grant? It seemed like there are tiered priorities, and it'd be helpful to be able to see that. I'm taking notes specifically to keep up. So I would say, I mean, I know there's specific things we're looking for the statewide organizations, but I mean, we have, and Jackie kind of listed a lot of them. We have main interest areas that we always focus on. So there's really not, I would say, a thing we're looking for with the multi-year core support grants. I mean, sometimes the way we go with funding can be a response to what's going on in the community, but I mean, any organization that serves our 20-town region and is in a, is eligible. So there's nothing real, there's no like priority or something we're looking for more than another. And Jackie, I don't know if you want to provide more clarity on that.
Yeah, and these will be, we will be able to send you more information, and we'll post on our website. There are priorities of things like economic mobility. Equity is always a priority for what we do in any of the work that you are doing. But we also have funders who have given us funds, as I said before, preference funds that say we can only support the arts. We can only support animal organizations or youth serving organizations. So although we have priorities, there are opportunities for everyone. Be true to your mission. Tell your story. We will fit you where you belong. And why don't we take a break here from the questions? We'll start with Patty Dowling when we get back, and let's move on to the next slide, which is competitive opportunities for only Greater New Haven organizations. So we're going to go into the Valley organizations and talk about Valley-specific grants. These are New Haven-specific grants. Small grants, which is for smaller organizations. Logan will go into the details. Sponsorships, our sponsorship program is different than the Valley's program. The Quinnipiac River Fund for organizations that protect and give access to the Quinnipiac River watershed. The deadline is coming up soon for that, February 6th. And the Neighborhood Leadership Program. Right now, there is a cohort already training, and there will be a new cohort chosen in the fall. So watch out for information on that. I'm going to pass it on over to Logan for small grants.
Thank you, Jackie. So there are a few changes this year. So this is available to only to organizations based in and serving Greater New Haven, 15 towns. So this is kind of an example of if you're a statewide organization, you wouldn't fit in this process. Due to kind of a tighter budget, we kind of had to make this distinction. So if it's only for hyper-local in our 20-town region organizations. And then another change is your annual operating budget has to be between 10K and 1.5 million. This is similar to last year. So if you're an organization that has an operating budget of 50K, below 50K, you can apply up to 5K. And then you also have an opportunity for consultant support, which was talked about in a previous slide. If you have an operating budget of over 50K, you can apply for up to 10,000 per year. Organizations can only apply every other year. So if you got a small grant in 2025, you have to wait to 2027 to apply again. There's 3 types: program capacity and general operating support, which we'll talk about in the next slide. So there's 2 application rounds. So the first round, so it's open now, and the first round closes February 25th, and then it'll reopen again on August 1st until funds are depleted. It's usually an 8 to 10 week turnaround. Could be less, could be more. We'll always provide updates if it's longer than that. Applications are viewed at a first come, first served basis. So another big change this year is it's more of a process and making things easier change. So historically, to get a small grant link, you would email me, and then I would send out a link to you directly. To make it a little more organized and to kind of get more the information that we're looking for, we have a small grant inquiry form. So that inquiry form is on the website, and it's on this link here. So it's pretty basic questions, just kind of what you're looking for, a little bit about your organization. And then once we receive that inquiry form, we'll review it, and then the application that you're appropriate for will be published onto your account. So the same account that you use to fill out the inquiry form will be the same account that you fill out the application. Let's see if there's anything else I'm missing on this slide. I don't think so, so we can go on. Okay, so there's three small grant types. So first, there's capacity building. So this is for short-term financial assistance to build the infrastructure of an organization for long-term success. So this can be, board development, strategic planning, evaluation, capital expenditures, including equipment, building renovations, or relocation. Program support, so grant made for a specific new or existing program. And then we talked about general operating support, so that this in the previous slide, but it's flexible funding to further general mission and work of an organization. These are 1-year grants. Does not need to be a new program, and it's a unique process in the sense that it's the only grant opportunity to for some of these things. So that's it for small grant types.
Sponsorships. So, excuse me. Sponsorships are for Greater New Haven-based organizations. As Jackie mentioned, the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven has its own sponsorship grant process, while the Valley Community Foundation has their own. And my colleague Sandy will be talking about the Valley's sponsorships later on this morning. Event sponsorships may not exceed $2,000 per event or $2,000 per organization, meaning an organization can come in for multiple events if it does not go over $2,000 in total. Sponsorship support. Sponsorships can be used to support costs associated with one-day fundraising events, either virtual or in person. or one-day neighborhood community events that encourage resident engagement. At this time, I'm going to stop and turn it over to Logan, and we're going to tackle some more of those questions.
Yeah, so we left off on Patty. So in the past, there was a population served percentage metric for the GOS grant. Is that different this year? I don't know if they're meaning about the difference between a multi-year or a multi-year program grant or a core support grant.
I can tell you that so we always look at the population served, and this is sort of a big why to what our grant making does, and why you'll see some of the programs this year restricted and focusing on those serving the Greater New Haven area. For 98 years, our donors have given us money for Greater New Haven. So our priority must be serving the people of Greater New Haven. Organizations that are based elsewhere have their staff, their administrative staff, their office in another location. They are not supporting the local businesses. They're not necessarily buying from vendors here. The people don't live and work here. They don't go to the schools here. They're not engaged in the population here. They're based elsewhere, and they are involved in their own communities elsewhere. So our priorities have been, along with our donors, to look this year more focused on the 20-town region that we serve. So the regional civic health grants, we're asking that no less than 15% of the population of folks based outside our region, no less than 15% of the population they serve, are based here in New Haven, in the Greater New Haven area, the 20 towns. For the core support grants, we will take a look at the amount of the population served. There is no cutoff for that. Everyone is eligible to apply who has a $250,000 budget, who has been doing programming for at least 3 years. You are eligible to apply. If you have a very small footprint in the 20-town region, you are eligible for less funding than those that serve the majority of their population here in the 20-town region. So there is no number I can give you, but it will be based on the amount of service that you do here to New Haven.
All right, again, my thing is jumping around. All right, so is there a specific scoring criteria applicants are required to respond to and reviews were used to rate applications? So I mean, every grant application is different. There's not like a scoring criteria. Most processes we review it. If we have any questions, we'll reach out to the organization and we write a rationale, which gets either presented to the board or internally through staff. So there's no specific scoring criteria. Hi, our nonprofit is animal welfare, but we are not a shelter. We provide grants for emergency veterinary care, specifically supporting economic mobility to disadvantaged families. Which grant would be best to apply for? So if you would be more in line with small grants, because since you're not, so animal shelter grants are only specifically for groups that are sheltering animals. You are providing animal welfare and you're kind of helping economic mobility to disadvantaged families. So that would fall more aligned with a small grant. Is your organization state office, if your organization state office is in the region and serves the whole state, can apply for a civic health grant. This is the League of Women Voters of CT. I believe that would be appropriate for them, Jackie, but I don't want to.
If they're based in the 20-town region, they have to apply for the core support. Civic health is a priority for what we'll be focusing on. So in the general operating support that we would be able to provide through the core support grant, because you are here in this region, we would look at you as a civic health organization.
So I thank you for your patience. I'm trying to wrangle this Q&A. Jackie, if you want to read the.
Can the consultant? Yeah, thanks. I will.
Yeah.
Can the consultant program fund groups who serve New Haven clients but are based in Hartford? Yes. And you contact Stephanie, Allison, or Sandy about that program.
Okay, I think
Would
we're
a consultant redo a website?
Ahead.
No, we are not doing websites this year as part of the consultant support program.
All right, so I think we're on Linda. I'm back with it. I'm with the Greater New Haven CAP project. We recently moved our center from New Haven to Northford. We'll be serving the 20-town region. We currently have a response grant ending in 2027 and a shelter grant ending in February 2026. Will we still be able to apply for a shelter grant? I would say yes for a shelter grant.
I think you skipped ahead.
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. It's a second Patty Dowling. I think that's what happened. We'll be serving 20-town region. Grant responsive grant. You'll still be able to apply for a shelter grant, yes, but you will not be able to apply for a multi-year grant because, well, Northford is in our region, so you could still apply. You can still apply. But I think, Logan, you skipped some because you looked for Patty Dowling and skipped ahead.
Yeah. If
So
you
we
have
had
the
some
most
consultant
recent,
support
then,
questions. Would a consultant redo a website be considered fundraising? No. Fund development plans, training your board to do fundraising, data mining in the data that you already have, in the system that you already have, those would be things that would be fundraising. Serve the region. Yes, we've answered that question. Serve the region, but consultant support will serve the region. Grant writing consultants, no, not to write a specific grant. We can send you more information about the program, Wendy. We don't have capital grants as part of our docket. If you would like to include some capital improvements as part of a general operating support application, you can do that. It should not be the majority. You can't spend 95% of a general operating support grant on infrastructure. Well, I will say physical infrastructure repairs. But we can talk about specifics if you have more questions. No org size requirements for the consultant support program. If you received a grant from multi-year last year and got partial funding. If you got a 1-year multi-year grant last year, if you applied in the multi-year process and got a 1-year grant, you can apply this year. If you applied and got a multi-year grant, you are not eligible to apply this year. You answer the CAT project.
All right, I'm caught up. So do you want to keep going, or do we want to? Okay. If an
Yeah. Why don't we start with Tisha next time, because some of these can be answered in person online. So I will take care of doing some of that while we're going on to the next slide, which is Sandy.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Jackie. So this is the 2026 competitive grant opportunities for specific Valley-based organizations, which only serve Shelton, Derby, and Sonia Seymour in Oxford. So we have 3 categories: the Valley Community Grants, which is funding for $250 to $2,500. The purpose of this is civic engagement efforts, including community-based projects and initiatives. That application is open right now. Deadline is March 13th. The Valley sponsorships is $250 to $2,500, and this is to sponsor events, fairs. This is a rolling application, so it's rolling open until the money is expended. And the Valley needs and opportunities, $250 to $10,000 for innovative programs and emergency needs. And I'll go into specifics. Next slide. Okay, Community Grants Program. This is for Valley-based organizations, once again, serving Shelton, Derby, and Sonia Seymour in Oxford. This is for civic engagement initiatives. It's available to organizations with 2 or few full-time equivalent staff members. The organizations here do not have to have a 501c3 or equivalent. You can be funded up to $2,500, and the deadline to apply for this is March 13th, and awards come in May. You can find the applications at our website and at sponsorships. So this is another small grant category, Valley-based organizations. It provides support for community events. So organizations must be a 501c3 or equivalent or have a fiscal sponsor. You can be awarded up to $2,500 per application, or if you do multiple sponsorship applications for the year, it can be up to $2,500. And once again, the applications can be found on our website. And finally, our Needs and Opportunities Small Grant Program, once again, Valley-based, serving only Shelton, Derby, and Sonia Seymour and Oxford. This is for innovative and ongoing programs and emergency needs. Organizations, again, must be a 501c3 or equivalent or must have a fiscal sponsor. This is up to $10,000. The difference this year with the needs and opportunities is we are keeping it open rolling. Last year, there was an opening in the beginning of the year, and then we were supposed to reopen in August. That did not happen. So we're just going to keep it open and rolling until the money is expended. And I believe now I'm sending it back to Jackie.
To Logan for
Oh,
questions.
to Logan.
Yep. If an organization applies for a multi-year grant, can they be awarded for just 1 year at your discretion? So yes, at our discretion, but you can also, there's a section on the application that asks, do you want 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year support? So if you do just want 1 year support for whatever reason, you can answer that. You can answer that on the application and let us know. We are a chapter of an organization based in Hartford. Can we apply for a small grant? So no, because it's based in Hartford. But just a little for chapters, if you're a chapter of a nonprofit, the 501c3 holder has to be from the nonprofit. So in most cases, you would be ineligible anyways because the 501c3 holder has to be from the nonprofit. It can't be from the chapter. So the 501c3 holder would be the applicant. But no, you would not.
And let me just explain a little more about what we're saying there. If you're a chapter of a large organization,
yes,
the large organization's budget will probably exceed the threshold. It's 1.5 million. So if you are a chapter of a large organization, you're not eligible to apply anyhow because the budget size of your parent organization may be too large for the small grant program. And yes. I think that this question comes up in many different ways of if we're a chapter, if we have an office in New Haven, but we're based somewhere else. For the small grant program, your headquarters must be in greater New Haven area in order to apply. If you have an office or a base of operations here and your headquarters is someplace else, you are not eligible to apply for small grants. And I think that that answers several of the questions.
The next question is about sponsorships. So Steph, maybe you could take this one. For a sponsorship grant, would a volunteer recognition event be considered?
Excuse me. I would say no. The intention of the sponsorships is really one of two things: to support a one-day fundraising event where the organization is going to be generating some income for, to support the mission, or if it's an event that is going to engage the community. So if it's an event for volunteers, if the community as a whole is invited to participate and it's not invitation only, then I would say yes. If it's invitation only, I don't think it meets the eligibility criteria, but reach out to me offline. Would love to hear more about the event and kind of what you have in mind, and we can have a conversation offline to see if it makes sense to come in through an event sponsorship.
Thank you, Steph.
Thanks, Stephanie. We're going to jump all the way down, Logan, to NCBW.
Yeah. Does CFG&H partner with nonprofits to provide micro grants for small business startups? NCBW would facilitate the business launch program with micro grant funding for women who complete the program, and funding would help business focus on infrastructure development for women entrepreneurs. So no, we also don't do re-granting, but for what you're looking for, you'd have to reach out to NHE3 because they operate with the small business grant. So you would have to reach out to Kim Mendez. That would be the person to reach out to for that. Just to clarify, for small grants, we have to be based in and serving Greater New Haven, or can a nonprofit be outside Greater New Haven but serving Greater New Haven? It have to be based in and serving Greater New Haven. If an initiative includes a significant number of participants from the Greater New Haven region, but does not fit a traditional program grant, is event sponsorship the more appropriate pathway? Well, a sponsorship event is for one-day fundraising events or community engagement events. So I think I would need more information about what exactly you're trying to do with that grant. Again, it jumped again. You're on Rhonda.
Pre-development expenses for housing. Yes, that could fall into what we're doing. That could be part of a general operating support grant. If you're a New Haven organization, pre-development costs could fall into that.
Okay. Oh, hi, Magali. Our organization is part of a national group. Our office is in Hartford, but our member organization that we support are located within the 20-town region, Wallingford and Haven. We also talk offline regarding qualification. Thank you. Wait a minute. So our office is in Hartford. Okay. I think that would be more the multi-year like grant support program. That would be more of a fit for that.
Yeah, the multi-year civic health, because you are depending on what the organizations are doing, what your organization's mission is, and I think I know your organization's mission. You would fall into the regional civic health category.
Yes, and then the next question was about defining civic health. Speaking of
civic health, includes things like community organizing, advocacy work, working for a particular cause, voter registration, voter access, getting people and transportation, getting people out to vote. It's getting people involved in education, in understanding the issues in a non-partisan fashion. So we're not saying to promote any particular ideology or platform. Nothing political. So no endorsement of candidates. But if there is an issue that is facing the state government and you wanted to do advocacy for that, and you wanted to organize people to talk about, there was a great movement that made baby bonds happen. That was community organizing for social change. That would be the kind of thing that we would support through civic health. So it's advocacy, community organizing, civic engagement, and nonprofit journalism.
Okay, and then the next question was about the small. These slides will be shared, but I did give you the link, so if you can click on that. Sorry, I can't control this thing. I think we were on.
So there was another question about small grants, but I think we answered that. Engage in unfunded advocacy activities, which makes us eligible for the regional civic, but we don't meet the $250,000 threshold. Then there will not be an opportunity for you to apply this year if you were out of our region, but don't meet the $250,000 threshold unless you partner with someone else and come in sort of in a combined application where some of the funding might go to you as a subcontractor. There is no opportunity this year in those programs.
The New Haven Pride Center has a 3-year responsive grant, and in our final year, we apply for another 3-year responsive grant this year. So I think the answer is if it ends later than 2026, then you would not be eligible.
We're also not calling it responsive anymore, Lou. It's a multi-year grant. So
yes.
If you're in your final year, yes, you can apply.
Oh.
The $1.5 million is the small grant threshold. There is no upper end for the multi-year. This will be recorded. It's being recorded and it will be shared. It will be posted on our website. The slides will also be available to you. Yes, when you click on the application, there are eligibility questions that will make sure that you are in the right place. But the thing you have to decide on your own is, where is your headquarters? Is it in the 20-town region or is it outside the 20-town region? And you will either go for the in the town. If you are in the 20-town region, then you will, through the multi-year process, apply for core support. And if you are in the outside the 20-town region, headquartered outside the 20-town region, you will apply for the civic health. It will then ask you questions. And I think we got to the bottom of the questions. So let's go on.
Well, I think
Ooh.
just to clarify what you just, I think, so there's no, there, I think the eligibility quiz for the multi-year is 2 different links this year. It's not, there's not like a question that will veer you off into a new application. If that's what I heard correctly. I just want to clarify
but once
that.
you get into it, it will ask about your budget threshold, about your
Yes.
programming, all of those things, all of the things that you need to know.
And if you have any questions, if you're in the right place or what grant to apply for, you can always reach out to me directly.
Okay, so we're moving on, and we will get back to the chat if there were questions in there. Logan, I don't think you present for the next little bit, so could you check in the chat and see if there's anything we need to answer in the chat, please?
Sure.
So before you apply for a grant, we want to make sure that you're prepared and going to be competitive. So someone asked about the priorities, the things we looked at, the criteria, the scoring. We don't have a scoring rubric, but I'll tell you what we tell our reviewers to look for. We ask you for outcomes. What do you plan to do? What impact will you have on the community? What changes in behavior and conditions do you plan to make through your work? We look at your outcomes to see if they're realistic and if they're impactful. We also look at what you've done in the past. What's your track record? You say you're going to do these things. Have you started doing them? Do we have evidence that you will be able to do more with more funding? We look at your evaluation. How do you track the data? How do you know that what you say you do is impactful for the people and beneficial to the people you serve? How do you do your evaluation? Is it built into your programming? And can you tell us with accuracy and certainty how many people you serve and what you have done for those people or communities or conditions or animals? We also look for equity. Is the staff and board of your organization representative of the constituents that you serve? Is there voice of all people at your table? And do your constituents have a chance to voice their opinions on your work? We look at board involvement. Is your board appropriately involved in the organization, doing fundraising, setting a strategic plan, setting long-term goals, and advocating for the organization, supporting the executive director, and not micromanaging the organization or running the organization? Now, if you're an all-volunteer organization, we want to see that they're rolling up their sleeves and that you've got good board support from the majority of your board members. And we also look at financial stability and sustainability. If we give you this grant now, what is the prospect for you being able to continue your work without our grant in 1, 2, or 3 years? What is the diversification of your income sources? Are you reliant on one source that could disappear tomorrow and put the organization in jeopardy? Are you doing appropriate individual fundraising? Are you reliant totally on grants? We look at the diversity of your income. So those are the things that our reviewers are looking at. We also look at what your plan is for the future. We look at your strategic plan if you have that. How can we assist in that going forward? And what will the impact be on the greater New Haven community? So before you apply, make sure you do your research. Find out as much as you can about the work that you're doing, and find out who else in the community is doing what you do. It's important to know the landscape. Who's doing it right? Who do you think you can improve upon? Why are you different? Why should you be distinguished for a grant? You can use websites. You can use the Data Haven Community Index, the Valley Indicators reports, all of those. Talk to people. Understand our process, or any funder that you go to, understand their process and their priorities, and understand what the need is for your program. Then identify collaborators, partners, private or public, who in the community believes in what you're doing and who can enhance your work. And then structure your program and your request. Define your goals, define your outcomes and your measures of those outcomes. Prepare your budget, write a plan. How is it all going to happen? Develop a fundraising strategy. No single funder is ever going to be the sole funder of your work. So figure out what your other sources are and where that money is going to come from to fund the entire project or the entire organization. Then you get to writing your proposal. And then I suggest, before you submit it, have someone else who's somewhat familiar with your organization read it. A significant other, somebody on staff whose job is not reliant on that funding, let them read it. If they have questions, then they can help you understand what needs to be clarified for a reader who may know nothing about your organization. So that's how to get ready to apply. And then you have to decide what process is right for you. You've heard a lot of different processes today. They have different criteria, so you may be eligible for only a few, but there may be some places where you can make choices. So think about where you want to fall in. Do you need to come in for a rolling application because you need the money right now? Or can you wait until July for the multi-year process? Do you meet the criteria? What level of funding do you need? Small grants is a less competitive process than coming in for the multi-year. Can you do with a $10,000 grant sooner? Or do you really want to wait for July to get an answer of what might be multi-year funding? Decide what you need. And if you don't see yourself anywhere in these applications, I would suggest that you take advantage of our workshops, our roundtables. We have board chair, executive director, program, and CFO roundtables. Sit in on those, learn from your peers, share your questions, come to our workshops, take advantage of the consultant support program, take advantage of the resources on our website. There will be a place for you. No is not no forever. And to help you with our application and others that you will do, we have 3 specific workshops that will help you for our applications. All of these are free. They're online. They will be recorded and posted. Monday, January 26th, we're doing Hone Your Mission and Vision Statement. It's a very important. Mission is the big partner in any of your fundraising. So let's make sure you've got it right. We're also doing a workshop on how to prepare your budget. It's great. This is especially good for small organizations who don't know how really to create a budget. You have to do a budget, which is a projection, a 12-month projection of what you anticipate the revenue and expenses of your organization will be. Please come if you need help with that. Also, we can help those outside organizations, the outside organizations that are from outside our 20-town region, help you define how to structure your budget so we can see what the expenses and income are in our 20-town region versus your full budget. And on Friday the 30th, a workshop on creating outcomes and outcome measures. Kara Strawn and Hannah Elias, our colleagues, will be presenting this workshop. It is an amazing workshop to help you really hone down. Outcomes are tweets. They are very, very short. Who's going to get what and why? Very, very short. It is not a list of activities, and Kara and Hannah will walk you through very specifically how to write those measures, and then how you can measure them, how to write the outcomes, and then how you can measure them. The registration is open now. The link will be on this slide. It's also on our website on the web page near the grant applications and on the workshops and events pages. Logan.
Thank you, Jackie. So Blackbaud grant making is our system for accessing all online applications. So if you are attempting to apply for a grant either through the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven or the Valley Community Foundation, and you do not see this page, you are not in the right place. It has to be on this page. Now, our grant management software did update recently, so it transitioned to a new application grantee online portal at the end of August 2025. So if you didn't apply for a grant or fill out a report since August 2025 transition, you will have to make a new account. It's very easy. There's a create an account button down there. So if you're going to apply for a new grant from us, you're going to have to make a new account. The system's very similar. We hope it's going to be even better and a little more updated. So Blackbaud grant making. And if you have any questions about Blackbaud grant making, whether it's accessing your account or anything like that, you can always contact me. And these applications are posted on both the Valley website and the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven website. But again, with these new updates, we hope it's going to be easier, to look a little bit better, and we'll look forward to the changes as they come. I know there was because we didn't post a lot of reports to the web last year because we were anticipating this change. So I know recently there was a notice out to some of you who had a report that was going to get filled out. So you may have been contacted about making a new account because you have a report to fill. My colleague Lewis is going to talk a little bit about that, but also in general, he's just going to talk about grant reporting. So I'm going to pass it over to him.
Thank you, Logan. So if you become a grant recipient, then we ask you to update us on each year on the progress you make towards your outcome through the reporting. Reporting will be done electronically through our Blackbaud grant making portal, as Logan was talking about. The reporting requirement needs to be met in order to apply for any future funding. Updates to a grant recipient's existing Give Greater profile. So this is only applies to those of you who have an outstanding report and have previously received a responsive grant. And please be sure to visit the link that is on the side for help with any reporting questions. We compiled a list of frequently asked questions that we hope will help you navigate our reporting process. We have been experiencing some issues in transitioning our grant reports to the new online portal and are working to get them resolved ASAP. So please reach out to me and the rest of the grant reporting team, which is Hannah and Kara, for any questions regarding grant reporting or accessing the report. So thank you, and I'll pass it over to Logan to share our resource directory.
Yeah, so here's the team. Many of these people you saw today, some of them you have not, but if you have any questions about anything, we're here for you. So this is kind of who you would reach out to, depending on what question you have. The directory is very easily found on our website, and we're going to share these slides around so you'll have these resources available to you. And I think that's about it.
We had two questions left in the questions, and then Logan, I know Sandy, you were monitoring that. Thank you for doing that, but there's only two left. And Logan, I think you were going to check in the chat. So the two
I didn't see anything that was jumping out at me.
Okay.
Chat. I think everything's
two questions in the question and answer are: can a link be posted for the upcoming workshops in the chat? Stephanie, can I ask you to put that link into the chat, please? And if there are, and Logan, this one's for you. If there are two of us working on grants, do we each create a Blackbaud account?
So preferably it'd be best if you have one account. It's just easier to kind of keep track for the both of you. I I know in the old system there was a way you could send drafts of what you're working on. I'm kind of not positive if you could do that in the new one. I would assume you can, but I would try to think of a way you can guys kind of work on it together without making a couple of different accounts, because it just kind of gets confusing, and then people get locked out. So I would really recommend having one account per organization.
Okay, there are no other questions in the chat. We are just a few minutes early. Again, these are the resources of people that you can reach out to. We highly encourage you to reach out to the outcomes evaluation team. Kara will be able to help you if you write your outcomes and you want to run them by her. Please give her time before the deadline, but you can send them to her to see if you're on the right path. You might even want to have your outcomes drafted before you go to the workshop with her, and you can get some specifics there if you have any questions. I don't see anything else. Yeah. Who is the contact for VCF? Sandy Arbor. Sandy's at the bottom of the slide that we have right now. And Sandy is the contact at the Valley Community Foundation. I don't see
I
anything
did
else.
maybe see one question before about small grants. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's not here though. I'll keep looking just in case there's something else we didn't answer.
So if you don't have questions, we hope that this was helpful to you. We really appreciate you being here today. You will get the link and slides from this, and it will also be posted on the website. And we look forward to seeing your applications. Please don't hesitate to reach out to anyone on the team. If you have further questions, we will stay on until 11:30. But if you are finished and your questions are answered for now, thanks for coming, and we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, everybody.
There is one question that came in the chat. Where do we go to create an online account?
Yeah, I mean, what I would recommend, that's a good question, because I don't know if there's I guess I'll post that in the chat. I would recommend creating an account when you're about ready to apply for an application, but I can post the Blackbaud kind of login page in the chat.
I'm going to go back to this page. So when you click on the apply here grant link, it does give you the opportunity to create an account.
Yeah, I just posted it in the chat. So when you click on this link, it'll take you to exactly the page you're looking at right now.
And then another question, there's an individual looking for Kim's contact information. I would suggest going to any of those links that was shared in the chat for the NHE3 connector. Within those pages, there'll be the contact for NHE3. Kim's contact information is also available on the Community Foundation's website, but I can drop that in the chat as well. And I see Lewis is typing that in. I could drop it in. We could drop it in. Thank you.
Logan, 2 questions for you. Nina went in and created an account as advised, but I don't see our old applications.
Yeah, so your old applications will not be there. If you want, you can email me directly and I can download kind of the old applications for you.
The system changed over. Can you talk about the system changeover?
Yeah, so the system changed over. So this is Blackbaud's kind of initiative to have like a new grant making software to kind of make things easier, to kind of have some updates. But as a result of that, the old software, the old account information that I think we made the first transition over to Blackbaud in 2019. So those accounts that were made, now you have to make a new account, and it's not tied to the old account.
And then I see Kim's information just went up. Patty Nicolari had a question for you, Logan. I have an account with Blackbaud already with another grantor. I assume this is specific to the Community Foundation.
I don't think it's specifically. I think there's Blackbaud account on its own, but I think the application portal itself, you're going to need to make your own login.
So that was also answer a question about the Connecticut Women's Consortium.
Yeah, and again, if you have any questions about either logging in or having trouble logging in, just contact me and I can walk you through it.
Okay, well, we are just about at 11:30. Thank you all again for coming. We're glad you were able to be with us this morning. We hope we answered your questions and gave you some clarity on where you fit into our processes, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.